instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Flagstick Podcast, sponsored this week by Adidas, introducing the Ultimate Tour 365 Heat Apparel and ZG23 Vent Footwear to help golfers handle the heat this season. This collection features a mix of silhouettes for men and women with heat-ready and no-show technology to keep golfers cool and dry so they can perform their very best. Both the ZG23 Vent and Ultimate 365 Tour apparel are available now on adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and selected retailers worldwide. Right off the top, we always like to remind you to check us out on all the social media networks, Instagram, X, and Facebook, TikTok too. Subscribing on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts, we're probably there. We do encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell, and make sure that you never miss a single episode ever.
You got it.
All right. Welcome in, of course, Scotty Mac.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you? How are you? Your eyeballs. I can't see them that well, but they do look like two what's in the snow.
Yeah, it was had a couple day trip this week, which was good from a content perspective, and we'll get to that a little bit on the front nine, but a little bit tiring dealing with that traffic up in the old GTA area. Definitely adds to every trip that you take up there. And got an early start on Tuesday and got back late Wednesday night and packed a lot in between. But like I said, we'll get to that on the
it's a lot of all about timing when you go to Toronto, eh? Like it's
so much.
Like, I remember going for our trips that we take up there for the Hall of Fame ceremonies, that we'd always go up to Wooden Sticks, or anytime we went up for visits, or hockey tournaments, things like that. You're always planning, okay,
around the traffic.
When am I going to arrive in the GTA? And then you back up the time that you want to leave, because there's certain times you just don't want to be there. But you had no choice. We'll talk about where you were and what you were doing, but you had no choice.
So I end up leaving 3 a.m. Tuesday morning to get there at a decent time. So but I was on the other side of the city, unfortunately. I didn't have a passport, so I wasn't going to go around the lake the other way.
No. Which, as we discussed there earlier off air, there might have been a heck of a lot faster to jump over to the
exactly.
The US
not that I don't have a passport, but I just didn't have it on me.
Hope you have a passport.
I hope so
travel
too.
You do there.
Yeah.
Well, we have a good show.
Yeah, we got lots of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, a lot of it. There's a lot of variety to this podcast. You're gonna get to listen to Scott and I chit chat about some of the latest news and topics and so on that have happened in the last week, because there has been a fair bit. We are winding down the season, and a lot of tournaments are happening now, and the season's finishing up. We're gonna obviously take a trip out to the Lesson Tee again with Kevin and Jake Haime. We got some new information there about hybrids. So that should be an interesting little tip. And on the back nine, we have a return interview, I guess we'll call it. A follow-up return interview. Return guest, Sam MacPhail of Golf PEI joins us to talk a little bit about PEI, some fall golf.
Fall golf, getting ready for next year. Yeah, exactly.
And so he's going to be joining us in the back nine, a little interview you did with him. But let's get to it, because there's a lot to discuss. Let's get to the front nine, presented, of course, this week again by Metcalfe Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Golf season is well underway. Don't wait. You can still save on your golf this season. Purchase some game packs and get ready to hit the first tee. Visit metcalfegolf.com and shop for those passes now. Also check out memberships for next year too.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
kind of that time of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you want to get membership anywhere, and especially Metcalfe, it's busy like everywhere else. You definitely want to look into that right now.
Exactly. In fact, I think I just got an email saying that there's a discount for returning members. So nice. If you're not a returning member, you might want to jump in there quick and get your membership. Anyway. Front nine. Let's first right off the bat, let's talk about what you were doing up there with the GJAC, which is the Golf Journalists Association of Canada. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing up in the TO area again?
Yeah, on Tuesday, I headed up to Copetown Woods Golf Club.
Yes.
That's actually where the original Golf Journalists Association of Canada Golf Day was, and this is kind of funny. I missed that time. There was only 8 members there at that time,
Huh.
and also at that time, a guy that we know very well, Jeff Tate from Triple Bogey, was involved with a clothing company, Quagmire, at the time,
Oh my
and
gosh, yes.
he had a couple of extra days of appearances to use up with a couple of the athletes that he sponsored at the time. So those 8 guys that showed up at that original GJAC day ended up spending the day with Jimmy Walker, who would end up going on to win a PGA championship, and Ches Reavie, who ended up winning the Canadian Open that week. So kind of wild. So yeah, so we were at Copetown Woods. We had a nice turnout. Now we have about 166 members of the Golf Journalists Association of Canada. I should know that as a VP of membership. It was in my report at our annual general meeting that was up there. And you know what? We get together. Not only do we have the general meeting, we had a bit of a golf day, and then we have an award ceremony. And we have an award, which is our highest honor. It's called the Dick Grimm Award after Mr. Canadian Open, Dick Grimm. And this year, good friend Rick Young, who's our past president of the of GJAC, was presented it. And obviously, it honors someone. Yeah, it honors someone who's given back a lot to the golf community in Canada. And while Rick definitely was the guy who said, no, I shouldn't be getting this. There's more people that should be ahead of me. Of course, he was the deserving honor, and I don't think anybody was upset about that. So congratulations to Rick, obviously a great friend of ours, and it was nice to be there to celebrate with him for sure.
Perfect recipient for that award.
Oh, right? Yeah, for sure.
Rick is an amazing person, been in the business for a very, very, very long time.
4 decades.
Extremely well respected. So sorry, Rick, for you not thinking you should get it. You definitely deserved it. And congratulations from me, because I haven't face-to-face spoken to you about it, but if you're listening or watching, Rick, congratulations.
You said to say
hello. Well, hello to Rick.
Yeah. I extended the trip, of course.
Yeah, you extended the trip.
Sorry.
This was this was the topic of conversation in our household, because you know how badly I want to play that golf course.
Even more now.
The extent. And my son Brandon, who's recovering from his surgery right now, knows how badly
Dad wants to play.
that I want to play that golf course. So when he saw the post,
oh yes,
then the conversations really say I'm very happy for you.
Sure you are.
However,
he says
there certainly was a significant amount of, I will say, superlatives and exclamation points and whatnot that were in the bubble speech over my head when you told me. But I am happy that you had an opportunity. So for those that aren't getting this, you had the opportunity to extend your trip with a little sojourn to the Hamilton Country Club.
Yeah, Hamilton Golf and Country Club, just down the road from Copetown. So I just stayed over in Brantford and went up there. Thankfully, Brent Long, who does their communications, had reached out and knew I was going up for that event. And then, Alan Carter, who's, their head guy, their CEO, reached out and said, hey, you know what, why don't you come play? We've got a few people that were playing. Our group ended up being, I ended up playing with Alan and Lauren Rubenstein. Obviously esteemed longtime writer, and we had a great time. Lots of fun stories about of that one. I'll tell a funny one in a second, but certainly appreciate it. It's always great to spend time with them. Bob Weeks is supposed to join us as well, but he was at a President's Cup function in Montreal, didn't get home till 4 a.m. So he bailed on us, but unfortunately he missed out. But it was a great day, and the one thing I should say is they've got such a rock star staff up there. Emerson Mahoney, the head professional, Brad Lawrence, who we know fairly well, Penny Walleen, who actually said hello. You forgot that. I had sort of forgot Penny was there.
Wow.
Obviously a longtime pro, worked in Ottawa, 25-year plus PGA of Ottawa member. Walked in the pro shop and all I heard was my name, and I was like, who's saying my name? And then I looked up and I saw Penny there. Ralph Bauer is there. I mean, it's just an amazing team. And, the golf course itself is, I can say thousands and thousands of words about it. Always was a special place to me. I got a few more than a few opportunities to play there, mostly during the 1990s. And it was always a fantastic golf course, special place. Covered 3 RBC Canadian Opens there. And then, you know what? Over the last 10 years, the club's embarked on a massive plan to do some renovations to upgrade the golf course, and we'll call it a historical renovation to sort of take it back to what Harry Colt had envisioned back when he was creating that site for them. And I have to say I was gobsmacked. It was unbelievable. They took down a ton of trees, apparently close to 1,300, and the vistas are incredible. I mean, there's a lot of elevation on the property, so now you can see in different areas of the golf course. You just stand there looking around, and I mentioned that to Lauren and Alan in a little thank you note afterwards. It's just I spend a lot of the day just kind of turning in circles, looking around and smiling, really more than anything.
Oh yeah.
Dramatic bunkers, these ragged edged bunkers. Players loved it when they would go there for the Canadian Open. They're going to love it that much more. This course has already had an amazing position in the history of Canadian golf, and that is only going to get stronger based on what I saw out there. It's something wild.
Well, I mean, I'm excited for the fact that you had this opportunity. I really am.
Yeah.
It's no.
You'll get your shot. You'll get your shot.
I do. I would like my shot. And now Brandon has actually looked at overheads and flyovers, and she's trying to figure out what it is about the golf course that I like so much. He understands now from what he's seen. And I said to him, you know what? I said, you look at your pictures and your overheads and stuff, but
it's not the same.
That is not even. That's like saying Augusta National looks good from a Google map or a flyover or a photograph, until you actually get on that property and wander around and see the property and the holes, and it's a special place, and it is one of those ones. I knew the moment I saw the golf course, the very first time we saw the golf course at the RBC Canadian Open. And I knew the moment I saw it, I want to play here at some point. It's a bucket list course for me.
Well, 2024 RBC Canadian Open is obviously what they're preparing for, so they will have
bound to be a media day.
Of course, it's going to be it'll be early in the year, because obviously the Canadian Open date has been pushed to the end of May for next year.
Does this guy look like he cares when it is?
No, not at all. But that's going to be a challenge for them for sure, and they're already in major prep for it. Ran into RBC Canadian Open tournament director Brian Crawford and their team. They're out there on a daily basis now. Had a quick chat with him out on the second tee. Talked a little bit quickly about getting ready for that time of year, the challenges they could face, weather conditions. Obviously, they're hoping that it's a fairly dry early part of the spring, because that course would be, if they can get it firm, which will be a struggle at the end of May, it will just be a stunning test. The greens are amazing that they resurfaced. A lot of very subtle double breaks. If you look at them now, they look more like something from the UK. They're not just this, single slope going one direction. A lot of subtleties on them. Those bunkers, as you can imagine, are a very difficult test. You certainly want to be strategic and play around them. And some of the extra tees they put in there, they pushed the 17th hole, which is probably the most impressive. That's the first one that you saw probably on the Instagram post, with all the bunkering up the fairways. They pushed that green farther back as far as the green site, so it actually works away from you now, and it's a spectacular green site with tons of different options. They've done a lot with the grassing around the greens as well, so certainly if a player is creative, there's a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. But at the same time, for members, they can putt from the fringes. There's just a myriad of choices. And certainly, I think they're going to be, they're going to be very proud to show it off for 2024.
I know there's a lot of stuff we have to get through, so we don't want to spend a lot of time on this. But I did want to say this, that one of the things that I've noticed a lot of lately is this kind of thing happening to older golf courses that have undergone transformations over the years, to modernize, and now you see architects going in, and the plan is not to modernize, but it's to restore to what it originally was intended, with still having that element of modernization in it, but not.
Yes, definitely.
And you see that a lot now from older golf courses, especially, where they're trying to take it back to what it once was. And I think that's an unbelievable thing to do. Obviously, budget has a lot to do with that with a lot of these courses, but you see it happening a lot. And I think what ends up, the result is you end up with a golf course that's way better than the one that you currently have. So
yeah, I think so. I think decades and decades of people adding touches, homogenizing shapes, going with trends that were happening during the times, whether that's the 60s or 70s, as far as bunker shapes and looks, it just gets transformed. And one of the greatest parts of the day out there was Alan Carter brought along this book that Martin Ebert and Tom McKenzie put together as part of the design project, and it has all the historical photos. It shows all the grassing lines. It shows everything, and it's an amazing book. And in fact, Lauren was like offering him money for a copy of the book, just because of what it showed. And it had the original drawings with Colt and Allison had done, and which showed some of these bunkers that what style they were supposed to be. Now they've obviously had to update it relative to the length of what players hit now. There's actually a bunker on the first hole now that they're affectionately calling the Rory bunker, because during the last Canadian Open, he was to be able to blast it over the bunkers on this slight dogleg left to be able to get it really close to the green. Well, now he's got some trouble in the way, and it's not as easy. So you're going to have to play a little bit more strategically, more in the style of what players saw, even going back to the Canadian Amateur there. And Lauren was telling us a story about caddying for Jim Nelford there in 1977, and the fact he had to hit a 5-iron into that first green, and he had to play all the way to the right of the bunkers and then around it. Now, basically, they're going to have to be more strategic about it. And then, like I said, the green surfaces are unbelievable. You're going to have to really be smart about how you play them. And I think that element of strategy and creativity just lends a whole other element to this golf course, and just brings it up to a level now where, recent national rankings would have it at, I think they were at 7th. They're definitely going to shoot up in those, just because people are going to look at it and see what they've done there. And it sets a standard really for what other golf courses, might want to do if they want to have that, level of play, for sure.
All right. Well, let's move through. We got some other stuff to talk about, but that's awesome. Glad you enjoyed that. Congratulations, Rick Young, on your award. And looking forward to a possible media day next year. The OVGA Cup, which is sort of the season-ending OVGA event, was held at the Hunt Club on September the 11th. And it involves about 45 players.
15 from each category.
And there were some winners. And I mean, we're talking men's, senior men's, and women's playing for the title, Order of Merit titles and things like that. So why don't you just kind of wrap that up for us and see who our winners were and whatnot.
In the women's competition, Lise Jubenville of Highlands was the low round of the day, so she picked up that title for the second consecutive year. It also wrapped up her 5th Order of Merit title, 5th straight, which is fantastic. Senior men's, Dave Ross of the host course turned in a 71, beat out Tom Henderson of Smith Falls. Henderson still won the senior men's Order of Merit for the year, so that was his consolation prize. And then over in the men's category, it was junior Rowan McDonald of the Royal Ottawa Golf Club, who turned in 71 as well, got the win by 2. But it was Brad Goodman, who was part of a 3-way tie on the day, who had enough points to win the season-long Order of Merit title, and that's a repeat from what he did in 2022.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. Now, sorry, the Order of Merit is a separate thing, obviously, from the event. The OVGA Cup is the event, and the Order of Merit. Now, the Order of Merit winners, you said Brad Goodman was the Order of Merit winner in the
men's category.
In the men's category. Dwight Reinhardt was right in there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always like to see Dwight. I always like to mention Dwight when I see Dwight, because we know Dwight so well, and he just, he's one of those guys who just continues to play good golf all the time.
Yeah, he does.
Kind of like Drew Lefebvre too. I mean, Drew Lefebvre was obviously the the main man at the OVGA.
Mm-hmm.
But he always seems to show up there and play well, in OVGA events.
Struggled a little bit this year. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, Dwight just keeps grinding away. He was part of a tie for third that day, and right in it as far as in that battle for the points list as well. And frankly, Dwight could actually be playing in the senior men's category. He's almost there now. So, but he prefers to still hang on and go head to head against the kids, as they say.
Well, then, Dwight, the Flagstick Open is a great place for you to be playing against the kids if that's what you're looking for, the challenge at Equinel next May. So put that on the calendar now, Dwight. Show me some love.
I'll bug him personally about that one for sure. So yeah.
Now some other big events, obviously, there's such a storied history of events throughout this region. I mean, in golf in general, but I mean, this is the region that we primarily focus our attention on. And there's all these team events, and the Gordon Cup just wrapped up, and Renfrew, came out victorious.
Yep.
Now, interesting enough, it's the 37th time that Renfrew has won the Gordon Cup. That's
a record by 7.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
pretty amazing. And in 2024, they're going to be playing this at Sandpoint, formerly what people might refer to as the Armpire Golf Club, but it's Sandpoint Golf Club. Great track up there. So I'm sure everyone's be working hard to get themselves on the Gordon Cup team, which is a big thing. It's kind of like making the intersectionals teams, the Gordon Cup team. There's actually a host of different team events up in the Upper Valley, especially.
There is. And, whether it's Fraser Cup, Long Prairie, O'Brien, there's a whole bunch of them that are up there. But, the Gordon is the most historic one, started in 1930, as you mentioned, is the 94th playing of it, has been played continuously. They basically didn't stop this for a lot of different things. So, which is wild. And, it is definitely a point of pride to make the team. And then obviously to get a win is certainly big. Pembroke looked like they were going to repeat. They were up by 9 after day 1. But Renfrew, played really well as far as across the team. Had a pretty low scoring average. I forget exactly what it was. I looked at it quickly. But yeah, it's always good to win at home. A lot of people were excited that the Renfrew team had brought it home, being the fact they've won it 37 times. Pembroke is second at 30. So they certainly want to catch up to it. And, again, it's one of those many events that has a history to it. If you are a member of the clubs that are involved there, you want to make that team, you want to play in it. It's on your calendar right from the start of the year. So congratulations to the team from Renfrew.
Now, as we watch this week on the PGA Tour, the Fortinet Championship that's being played on the PGA Tour, which is the first event in the fall series of the FedEx Cup Fall Series. We have to also look at the Fortinet Championship that was played in Calgary, which wrapped up the PGA Tour Canada season. Correct. And those players that got to slip on the hockey jersey, knowing that they had a ticket to the
Corn Ferry Tour,
the Corn Ferry Tour, and the final stage of Q School, right? Final stage of the final stage. So congratulations to those guys, but you got a little bit more detail on that, obviously, because it does involve some Canadians and some locals.
Yeah, Hayden Springer ended up winning 2 of the last 3 events on the circuit this year. So he ended up winning not only the final tournament, but he won the money list. So he gets an all-exempt spot on the Corn Ferry Tour this year, which is very, very important. And in that top 5, one of the players that was in there that people from our region will be familiar with was Etienne Papineau, who plays out of Pine Grove, a former Tunis winner. Lucky to spend some time with Etienne this year. And you know what? This is a guy who was away for a lot of play last year for a ankle injury, a leg injury. Wasn't sure what was going to happen as far as his season, even though he had status. Got a win early, kept playing well throughout the year, ended up fourth on the money list. He gets conditional status and a spot in the Q School final. So he's got some status to start the year next year on the Corn Ferry Tour, which is great for him. And the reason I spent time with him was he was at the wedding of obviously Kingston's Noah Steele. And again, at the same time, I was sitting there talking to them. Etienne coming back from injury. At the time, Noah had a hand injury, didn't have status on the tour, but managed to score a birdie on the very last hole at the Q School in the spring, turned conditional status, got a couple of top tens early, ended up turning that into a 15th on the money list for the year. He's now exempt to second stage in PGA Tour qualifying. He ended up tying for fifth at that Tour Championship. So great to see somebody from Eastern Ontario obviously get to there. As you know, he's probably very excited about being in second stage. Saves money, time, effort. Pre-qualifying is going on right now. So there are 4 stages to go through, and players that are at pre-qualifying and then first stage, they've got to play well in 2 tournaments and spend lots of money traveling to places. So to be able to get to that second stage, and he's going to be playing in Savannah, Georgia for his second stage. He got his assignment there the other day. So good luck to him.
Awesome. Now, we're up against the clock here to get before a break, but I just wanted to wrap up a couple of other things. Our 2023 Cobra Puma Flagstick.com shootout winner, Connor Gadet, has opened his OUA season for Laurier with an individual victory right off the bat at the Western Invitational. So congratulations, Connor. We knew that victory at the flagstick.com shootout was a stepping stone to greater things. So congratulations, and we look forward to you defending that title next year at Smuggler's Glen down the Gananoque area. Coming up, as we're recording right now, coming up next Monday, September 18th, the final, we'll call it the final event on the flagstick.com PGA Ottawa Tour. Is the fall championship at being played at Rideau. Now it's a limited field event.
Yes.
And Dan McNeely and Roger Beal are leading the points race. Sorry, guys, this is a pretty good situation to be in since Dan McNeely and Roger Beal are the pros at Rideau. So talk about a home course advantage going into the fall championship, trying to lock up the order of merit. And way to go, guys. Good way to put yourself in an ideal position leading into the final event. But and Graham Gunn and Pasquale Mangilio are leading the senior points race going into that event. So should be a really interesting day with a limited field, tight points race, and home court advantage for a couple of guys. Should be cool. And the Ping Challenge Cup is coming up. Making the chops here. October the 2nd at Highlands Golf Club. This is where the team of assistant pros take on and try their best to defeat the team of head professionals. And the assistant pros are captained by that guy. And the head pros are captained by this guy. And it's a fun day. It
is really fun. I'm not playing this year. I got to play last year.
Yeah. Well, there was a hope, I think, that there was going to be the head-to-head match, but
maybe we can have a chip off on the putting green.
Yeah, maybe we can go out before everybody else and play a match, and we'll be the rabbits. We'll set the pace for the field. We'll go out and play on the Sunday on the singles. We'll play the singles.
I like it.
So we'll see how that goes, but that event's coming up October the 2nd at the Highlands. Pray for nice weather for us because it's a bit of a crapshoot when you get into October of what you're going to get. It could be warm, it could be cold, it could be rainy, it could be snowing. Who the heck knows anymore?
Yeah, it was hot last year.
Yeah, and that would be nice if it was hot again this year. At this point, there's no reason why I shouldn't be there. So
fingers crossed.
Gosh knows what anything can come up between now and then, but keep your fingers crossed that I can actually make it. So, so that kind of brings things up to speed for everybody. That's what we know, and what we haven't told you about. Obviously, you can find over on flagstick.com because there's way more stuff over there than what we talk about on this podcast. All right. Well, before we get out, we want to help you out with your golf game again. and we specifically are not going to be helping you out, but Kevin and Jake Haime are going to be helping you out with your golf game. So we want to get out to the lesson tee presented by Kevin Haime Golf School. It's always the right time to play better, whether you need a private lesson, a better short game, some putting help, or even a custom club fitting. Visit kevinhaime.com, and remember that better golf is a lot more fun. So let's head out to the lesson tee and see what this discussion about hybrids is with Kevin and Jake Haime. Take it away, guys.
Happy Tip Tuesday, golfers. All right, Jake, back on the lesson tee. A few weeks ago, we did a Tip Tuesday about fairway metals and how to hit a fairway metal. We get a lot of good feedback from that one. I thought maybe we'd attack hybrids because, you know, our students are confused about that one too. I get a lot of questions about how to hit a hybrid. Is it more like an iron, more like a wood? How would you answer that question?
Well, not to be cute with it, but I think it's a bit of a hybrid setup. I mean, there's elements of both areas, which makes sense for the club. So let's talk about the stance part first.
Okay.
So my stance is going to be a little more narrow than it would be for a fairway wood, because it's a little more like an iron on that front. It's much shorter, and I want to make sure I'm a little more on top of the ball as a result.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this golf club, first of all, best invention in golf equipment in the last 25 years. An easier to hit long iron. We had a little bit of mass behind the face to get the ball up in the air, but it is more like the length of an iron. So you're right about stance. So how would you describe width of stance and general setup over that golf ball?
So I'd say, you know, if my width of stance is about shoulder width for a 7-iron, marginally wider than that for my 6-iron, my 5-iron, and my 4-iron, my hybrid stance might be just marginally wider than my 4-iron stance. Even if it's a 4 hybrid, I'll be a little wider than the corresponding iron, but very similar.
Okay, but I see a lot. So if you stand over it like an iron, I see a lot of people taking divots and hitting down on it. And I think that's what they struggle with. They think they don't like a hybrid because it feels cumbersome. But that's, I think, because of ball position more than because of stance and setup. So when it comes to ball position, we've got to think about it being a little more like a fairway wood, right?
Yeah, agreed. Especially with the more modern hybrids where the heads have gotten bigger to get more of those fairway wood benefits. We need to make sure we sweep the turf a little more than we do for an iron. And as you said, that means the ball should be a little more forward of center. That's where we say it's a bit of a hybrid stance. It's a little more of a body setup of an iron, and the ball a little more forward like a fairway would.
Yeah, you want to hit the ball at the bottom and sweep it. So that's great. Let's see your setup and go ahead and hit one, and let's see how you do with it.
So I'm a little wider than my shoulders. Like I said, a little wider than my corresponding iron stance. My golf ball would normally be about 3 inches off my front foot in line with my ear for an iron. So I can move about an inch forward of that. So it's a little forward of my head, kind of more at the center of this logo. And between those two things, I have a nice width of stance so I can rotate. I'm going to sweep the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, lovely. No divot, notice, everyone. And notice that rhythm, too. Very much like an iron swing. Don't try to get too aggressive with those hybrids. They're designed beautifully to help you get that ball up in the air. Don't force it. Swing in balance. Set up your body like an iron, your ball position like a fairway wood, and you'll have lots of luck.
Well, there you have it. Now you know what the discussion about hybrids was going to be all about. So put that in the bank, download it, save it, watch it, learn from it. I don't learn from any of this stuff because I just don't. When it comes to golf instruction, I'm probably the one space. How many times that you've tried to get me to fix my swing and it's just not going to happen?
Going back 30 years.
Oh my gosh. It is what it is. I take it out of the box. I put it on the tee.
It's all good.
Away we go. All right. Sadly, we have to get out right now. So you get a bit of a break from us, but not much of one. It's only one commercial. But we will be right back on the Flagstick podcast. So stay with us. Adidas introduces the Ultimate 365 Tour Heat Apparel and ZG23 Event Footwear to help golfers handle the heat this season. Both the ZG23 Event and Ultimate 365 Tour Apparel are available now on adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and selected retailers worldwide. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Bonner and Scott McLeod. We're going to get right into our back nine, presented this week by Castleview Golf Club. Only a short 25-minute drive from Ottawa. This 18-hole layout is renowned for its superb conditions and unsurpassed services, making it a must-play in the National Capital Region. 5, 10, and 20 round packages are available. Visit castleview.com for more information. All right. On the back nine, we're really excited about this. Always excited when we have guests.
Yeah.
Or interviews in this case. Not necessarily a guest, technically a guest, but
sure. It's not a live guest.
Yes, exactly. Now, we have had this individual on before this year. This is Sam MacPhail from Golf PEI. Yep. And Sam was on earlier this year talking about, golf and PEI, summer, spring, and what you can expect and so on. But we thought we'd follow up on this because PEI is not just for golf in the summer. There is a lot of good golf to be played this time of year and into the early parts of the fall. So we thought, you know what, let's bring Sam back on and let's talk a little bit about more about fall golf and PEI and how you can get yourself hooked up there, the packages and so on available. So you did a little interview with him and got all that info.
Yeah, just caught up with Sam, just saw how the season played out. And yeah, as you said, just wanted to really sort of accentuate the opportunities for people in the fall when they don't really think about going there. They know it's a busy place during the summer. They might not get the experience that they want because, they're trying to get there, but it's booked. And fall provides that opportunity. And then for those who are already asking about 2024, and we get lots on our social media, wanted to see where things were with that, what they needed to be doing, and maybe some things that were happening there in 2024 and how they go about getting those arrangements set up. So great to catch up with Sam, and we appreciated his time just to see what was going on down in Golf PEI.
All right, well, let's check that out. Scott, our very own here, Scott McLeod, doing a little interview with Golf PEI Sam MacPhail. Let's have a listen.
All right, we'd welcome back to the podcast Sam MacPhail. Sam was with us earlier this year. Sam's the executive director of Golf PEI. We did run across each other a few weeks back, I guess. It seems, over a month now. How are you, Sam?
I'm very good. Yeah, a reoccurring guest.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to have you at our golf marathon day too. That was pretty fun.
Well, why don't we start with that before we get into anything else? But you guys did a really cool marathon. You and Ben King. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it was a 7-course, 63-hole day. It was just the idea was to market around how close all these golf courses were in PEI. So we started at 6 a.m. at Red Sands and made our way back towards town and finished at Belvedere around 8:45. So 7 rounds and 9 holes in a day, and there was a lot of fun along the way. The videos are being processed now being edited now for marketing purposes, but we'll be sure to share them with the Flagstick folk whenever they do come out.
Yeah, that was fun just to catch up with you guys in the last round. I didn't want to get in the way, but it was fun just to watch and see if you guys would actually survive it more than anything. But
yeah, I always tell people too, like, people were like, oh, it must have been tough. It's like, well, I didn't feel any tighter than if I play 18 holes the next day. But the big difference was every 9 holes, you'd get in the truck and drive for 15 minutes in the AC. So
yeah,
that definitely helps the day.
That helped for sure. Well, I know, it's been a challenging year a little bit from a weather perspective down in PEI. Obviously, I got some good weeks when I was there, but that hasn't slowed down the golf scene down there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about 2023 so far, because there's still some time left in the year, and how it's been going for you guys at Golf PEI?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess from a rounds perspective, we're still up versus last year, which was like a blown wide open year. 2022 was crazy, but 2023 so far has held the pace and a little bit above. It'll be interesting to see how August shakes out just due to rain and wetness, but overall, we're happy with where things are. The CBC put out a report probably 3 or 4 days ago that PEI or Charlottetown had the rainiest summer on record. So for June, July, and August, we had 438 millimeters of rain. The most before that, I think, was 2009, which was probably like 20 millimeters less. And before that, there's no other real estimator since they've been tracking it for over 100 years, let's say. So that kind of puts a damper in things. There was 9 days throughout the 3-month stretch with more than 20 millimeters, meaning pretty much a washout of golf day. And there was 58 days with some sort of rain, whether it was, 1 millimeter or 20 or 19. So, that can deter golfers. But I think with our uniqueness too, once people are here from, let's say, Ontario, from farther distances, if they're here for 5 days and only get 4 good golf days, they're going to make the best of it. And even if they do play in the rain, you're only here for a set amount of time, so you're going to get it in while you can. Obviously, if it's high winds and a lot of rain, we can refund you for that day. But overall, we made the best of it. And I think courses have never been greener because there hasn't been a stretch of dryness. Usually, late July, early August, your ball will roll an extra 20 yards off the tee, but this year wasn't the case.
What did you see for traffic, for demographics this year? I mean, obviously, as we progress away from, the heart, I guess, of the COVID pandemic, you're starting to probably see some return visitors from some different areas.
Certainly, yeah. So our biggest market would be Ontario, and that can be from people driving, from Toronto, Ottawa, or flying. I think a lot more people are seeing the benefit of having your own rig once you're here. I think you've certainly seen that benefit because you can make some stops along the way.
For sure.
But I mean, bridge traffic's up the highest it's ever been. Flight traffic is up. Either at level with the highest it's ever been or above. And we've had some issues with the ferry this year, but the ferry traffic was relatively steady before the bumps in the road too. So overall, I think tourism numbers in general were maybe a little softer, but golf has been up compared to last year, which, like I said, was our biggest year, and my first year, so I walked into the good time, I guess. But we're certainly happy, and all of our golf courses are happy. There's some places that might be down a few percent in rounds overall, but it's not anything crazy, because I think last summer was a bit of an anomaly for some places, but it certainly says that golf is still busy, and that itch to get golfing more than once a week for a lot of people is still here, from both a local perspective and a tourist perspective. So we're happy with it.
I probably talked to more golfers this year about trips to PEI, which is incredible, but also ran into a lot of golfers when I was in PEI, which was great. Just obviously going on about certain golf courses and other amenities and things like that. There's still some time left in the year. And I know I've got some friends that are kind of down there right now. I've got some other people that are heading down for some trips in the next little while. What about the opportunities still left in the year here? Because, obviously, there's probably still some availability, correct?
Yeah, big time. We are like a lot of weekends in September are getting fuller just because that's obviously the primer time to play, but weekday trips, there's certainly plenty left. Usually, the old wives' tale that if you have a rainy summer, the fall is going to be really nice. I hope that's the case. But so far in September, we've been blessed with good weather. And even into October, you can get October days where it's 15 to 20 degrees on a Saturday. So how can you beat that if you're a golfer? It's almost better weather than 45-degree heat. It feels like some days.
Yeah, little cooler, start to maybe get some colors. Obviously there's some supplement as well as from it's harvest season and things as well. So from a dining perspective, there's a lot of things going on the island, some different things, next lobster season coming, that sort of things. But why don't you kind of fill us in on maybe some things that are going on there?
Yeah, for golf PEI specifically, we are doing, if you stay 2 nights and play 2 rounds, we're doing we have our Canada Food Island gift cards, which are gift cards for basically any restaurant or golf course in PEI. You can use them towards. So it's kind of like a give and get kind of promotion. And also starting October 1st till the 15th is PEI Fall Flavors, which is a celebration of kind of all these the foodie culture on Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
So if you like and the seafood or the Shellfish Festival is happening next weekend, so the 14th, 15th, 16th. And again, it's a celebration of oysters and mussels and everything else. So there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think PEI was always July and August only, but there's a lot of expanding the tourist season into unique things like that. So, even if you only slot in 1 round of golf, there's tons of other things to do if you're here for a few days. I think what I find a lot, just kind of get off on a tangent a little bit, what I find a lot with bookings is people usually wait until closer to the date to book because they are unsure of weather versus kind of the guaranteed July, maybe not guaranteed this year, July and August, but typically. But if there's other things you can complement your golf trip with, it's not that you can book a little earlier because there's going to be other things going on. You're not going to get stuck with 3 days of rain and sitting in your hotel or your cottage because there's other things to do. It's certainly becoming a longer season. And I think the government's next push, the provincial government, is to make it into that 12-month season. Slowly getting there, but start with fall and kind of inch your way towards the winter months.
Yeah, it used to be that you hit Labor Day and everybody kind of boarded up everything and everything was done. But I know for myself, just going down there a little bit more in the fall, the last few years, there's certainly an activity level. It's maybe a little quieter, which is kind of nice. If people don't like it super busy, it's just kind of a laid back pace. Not that it's not laid back as it is every other time, but you're right. There's a lot more things that are still going on, things that are still open as well. Why don't we go into a little bit of next year, 2024? Obviously, people now clamoring, starting to look at vacations for next year. You guys are obviously probably starting to, get some bookings and things for next year. Any hints, tips, ideas, or things for people looking to do vacations in 2024?
Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. We already are getting a lot of inquiries and bookings. Like we probably have a solid percentage of the total revenue this year on the books for next year. My only advice would be like, what's stopping you from booking early? When you book with us, you only have to put a small deposit down, and you can always get it back if something happens. We're very flexible that way. So having it locked in, having the best tee times, having the best accommodations, and locking in your rental car earlier, it's obviously going to make your trip a lot less stressful if you leave it till, oh, I'd like to go to PEI in 3 weeks. I think that's what people are starting to run into, and they call us in July and think, oh, I'd like to come in August. So, well, it's Old Home Week that week, or it's there's something going on. You're not going to find the exact accommodation you want to go to. So that's just my advice. I think the pandemic certainly forced people into booking things longer in advance, and just from a travel perspective anywhere, not just Prince Edward Island. But that's the biggest piece of advice I get. Like, what's holding you back if you want to come? You're probably, you might argue otherwise, but you're not going to find better value in a golf trip to Prince Edward Island in terms of payment, like money out of pocket, but also what you experience while you're here on top of golf. So we have 3 extremely capable golf travel specialists in our group that can walk you through the whole process and give you advice along the way. So I'd recommend shooting us an email or visiting our website even to get curious.
Yeah, I know we mentioned that, when we had our interview earlier this year, but it's certainly something, I try to hammer home all the time for people. A lot of people have questions, but you guys can answer those questions. You handle those questions, and on a personal level, really. I mean, I've known cases where people have, called there and they're talking to the specialist, and they just sort of say, hey, we heard about this place over this area, and then they'll go, okay, well, here's this restaurant, and this restaurant. I'd recommend this, how you fit it into the schedule. It's not about just packaging and selling. It's really creating that personal experience. And, that's really reflecting what they're going to find when they get to PI. It's very personal.
And whether it was forced or not from the pandemic, we've really switched towards tailored packages. We really don't advertise like package A, B, and C. We package, where do you want to stay? Where do you want to play? What's your price point? And then we can work on it from there. So it's very customized that way. I think that automatically creates that personalized touch. But we have people that bring gifts in all the time to our office saying, oh, I'd love to give this to Stephanie. I'd love to give this to Jennifer or Janelle. So I think things like that really make it prove that we're doing something right. It's not just a golf trip and we never hear from you again. There is very much, and there's people that have been booking with the same agent for the last 10 years. So
yeah, they know their name, which is really incredible. And it goes the other way as well. I'm sure they recognize a lot of people when they call back in and go, hey, I want to book my vacation for next year. And they're like, hey, how are you? And, know everything. Definitely. So, I mean, that's really cool 100%. That way. Any other key highlights or things we should know about? I mean, I know personally, going down there this year, seeing the golf courses, post Hurricane Fiona last year, everything is, cleaned up really nice and some really cool and impressive things that I've been mentioning to people that maybe went to PEI in years past. Maybe they haven't seen Crowbush now and sort of its new look, some of the looks that, stand up, all the different golf courses. Anything significant there that, you think people might be surprised by?
I think just the realization that other than sight lines, like looking into trees or towards the water, other than that, the course itself, the, tee box, fairway, green, there's no change. Like it wasn't like we got the ground uprooted from under us and destroyed. Like it's very much just sightline changes, which are a good thing in a way. It's
sure,
not that it's innovation, but it is. It's creating this newer product in a sense that people haven't seen before. So I think, not to mention, some people can cut corners a little more now that there's less trees in the way. But no, I think that just people not that a lot of people knew originally, but just people think, oh, well, everything must be devastated, must be changed, but definitely not the case. If you were to see how busy, like if you were to try to book a tee time, because we have our online booking engine for just straight up tee times at Golf PEI, most days before 5 p.m., you're not going to see a tee time. So, I mean, clearly people are okay with the new changes in the course from the hurricane last fall.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but positive comments. All right, quickly then, if people want to reach you guys, want to, figure out how they're going to go for a vacation next year, or in the next little while, because as we said, there's still time to get down there. Obviously, some great flight options and stuff now as well. How do people reach you?
Easiest way is just golfpei.ca. You can browse around a bit or click right onto request a vacation quote, and we'll be back to you within 72 hours with the customized quote, and we can go from there. But if you want to reach me, my number's on there too. I'm happy to field calls anytime.
Which is awesome. Thanks, Sam. I always appreciate it. Good to catch up. We're going to get that round of golf. I know, I got to hang out with you on the golf course, but we have to play sometime soon. So really appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to seeing more from Golf PEI.
Thanks, Scott. Say hi to Jeff for me.
I will.
Well, now I get it. I got it before.
You got it before. You've been there in the fall.
I have been there in the fall. I would really like to go there in the summer.
Yes.
Because it can be, at least when we were there, the fall, we had some really good weather. We had some moisture weather. But a good mix. We had the sort of semi-moisture weather when we were playing Crowbush, which was actually kind of nice because
it's kind of fun.
Just the nature of the land, the property there. And we do have a video, I think, of when we were at Crowbush, of me hitting a driver.
Just about falling over on the 16th hole.
Yeah, it was so windy and crazy, and I wasn't too sure if I could get it across the water or not, but I did.
Yes, you did.
I might not be able to now, but
you'd be fine.
I did then.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we just tee it up in front of the water. Anyways, great interview, Scott, with Sam. A great guy. Really have enjoyed working with Sam this past year and last year with some marketing related stuff with us, and looking forward to working with him again next year, or this coming fall, winter, putting programs and stuff together. And hopefully we can get some details together on maybe a little flagstick.com trip out to PEI. We've been hedging on that one for a little while now, and I think it's time to put things in motion and make it happen. So we'll see if we can't have another sit down with Sam and put together some kind of package for 2024, but stay tuned on that one. But, great interview.
A lot of people always they're contacting us all the time about details. Sam jokes that I get to be the ambassador, and that's obviously I have a lot of family ties down to that place, and you know what, it would be fun just to go with a bunch of listeners, readers, people from our community, and show them what a great place it is, be able to show them around. Just had another friend of ours, Ryan Barath, from golf.com. He was just down there last weekend, so it was the same thing, they were helping him out. They got an itinerary organized, but it was just those last little details that maybe I was throwing his direction, and those are the things we could add to that element of a trip, just make it a little bit different as far as the experience, and just make it a very complete experience down in Golf PEI.
Well, I think that's the important thing. I think that's what I enjoyed most about it when we went down there, aside from dinner at your mom and dad's place, which was awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. McLeod. I can't guarantee that if we did a trip that you'd get to have the dinner at the McLeod residence, but
you never know.
Might shove you guys off somewhere, and we'll go have dinner there. But it was all the little extra things that we did. The little walkabout that we did right in the heart of downtown. Charlottetown, and going to the track.
Oh yeah, I forgot we went to the
casino and the track. There's just all those little things, and then some of the places, playing at Green Gables, and it's those little things that add to it. It's not just about let's pick the 5 golf courses or the 6 golf courses we're going to go play. It's more than just the golf. It's kind of a little bit of the extra stuff too. It's a lot about the golf, but anyway.
And I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to facts, as people will know. So, having the family history there, there tends to be a lot of useless bits of information floating around in my brain, which sometimes are useful.
And sometimes those things are of interest to people that you least expect them to be of interest to.
Correct.
So it is always a good thing to have that useless information that you think is useless and throw it on out there, because you never know who might find it useful.
You got it.
Okay. Again, great interview with Sam. Glad to have him back on here. Looking forward to working with Golf PEI into 2024 and hopefully setting up some kind of a trip. So stay tuned for the information on that if we are able to pull something together.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for us for this week, Scott. And I know going into next week, we will have a wrap up of the PGA Ottawa PGA Fall Championship, which is going to be really kind of cool. We'll also hopefully next week have some Solheim Cup discussion. We were going to get into that this week, but we had a lot of other things we wanted to get to, and the Solheim Cup hasn't happened yet. We still got time to discuss it, and maybe the closer we get to it, it's a little more timely. So maybe once it's actually happening, we can get into it, have a discussion about it, and then obviously. Then after that, the Ryder Cup. So it's going to be busy time for golf guys. Busy time for golf guys to talk golf. Want to thank everybody for spending some time with us on this episode of the Flagstick Podcast. Thanks, of course, to our sponsors, very important, Metcalfe Golf Club, Castleview Golf Club, Kevin Haime Golf School, and our presenting sponsor. We always like to thank our presenting sponsor, Adidas, introducing Ultimate 365 Tour Heat Apparel and ZG23 Vent Footwear, helping golfers handle the heat this season. The collection features a mix of silhouettes for men and women with heat-ready and no-show technology to keep golfers cool and dry so they can perform their best all the time. Both ZG23 Vent and Ultimate 365 Tour Apparel are available on Adidas.ca, the Adidas app, and, of course, selected retailers worldwide. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening and hearing and watching. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks. As always, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok. Maybe there's other ones. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell to make sure you never miss one episode of this podcast. And of course, get over to flagstick.com, because it isn't always on here, but it is always on there. There's more amazing golf content that we publish there every single day, so you're not going to be left out in the dark. We promise you that.
Always subscribe to our newsletter too.
Yes. Why do I always forget that? Subscribe to, we have Flagstick Digest as our newsletter, because they're 3 times a week. When you go to flagstick.com, find the little subscription, sign up. There's no cost to sign up, and we're not going to spam you with a bunch of advertising. I guarantee no ad blasts from flagstick.com with the newsletter. There are ads in the newsletter, and that's it, mixed in with the content. So you'll like it. We guarantee you'll like it. I know you'll like it. All right. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.